Hello, my name is Angel and today we'll continue with the breakfast recipe series. Next on the list are mixing blankets. Most of the traditional recipes I've tried are good, but the dough is usually either quite dry or quite dense. For this reason, the dough I decided to use is a simplified version of the Japanese milk bread recipe. As you can see for yourself, the results are quite good. Let's begin. Measure 160 ml of milk and warm it up to 30 degrees Celsius or 86 Fahrenheit. While this is happening, I'll measure the required flour in a bowl, namely 375 gram all-purpose flour. The other ingredients that I'll also measure are 45 grams of sugar, 10 grams of salt and 6 grams of instant yeast. Whisk a medium-sized egg and add the yeast and warm milk to it. If you are using regular yeast, you can let it activate to make sure it's still alive. Add the salt and sugar to the flour, mix well and add the wet ingredients. The dough will be sticky, but don't let that stop you. Mix it to a homogeneous mixture and leave it covered for 20 minutes to completely hydrate. The final ingredient for the dough is 60 grams of softened butter at room temperature. We add it at this stage, not with the other ingredients, because the fat in the dough shortens the gluten. If you had added it earlier, it would have been much harder to develop strength in the dough and a good gluten network. We would have lost a lot of the fluffiness and softness. Knead the dough until it absorbs all the flour. Cover again and leave it to rise for at least an hour and a half in a warm place. During this time, prepare the sausages. Personally, I also like to add pieces of cheese, which I will also cut into long strips now. Let's go back to the dough. As you can see, it hasn't risen so much. The sugar and butter hinder the activity of the yeast, and therefore the whole process is much slower. This is the reason for the longer fermentation of the dough. Take the dough out on the workbench and divide it into 4 equal pieces. Stretch each of the pieces into a rectangular shape by pulling, pressing with your fingers or just using a rolling pin. Then roll it up. After finishing each piece, start stretching and rolling them again in a rectangular shape. This time the length of the rectangle should be slightly larger than the length of the sausage and about 10 cm or 4-inch wide. At one end of the dough, I'll make incisions with a knife about 2 cm long or 3/4 of an inch. This is purely decorative but will ensure a pleasant appearance. Place the sausage at the opposite end and roll the dough so that it completely closes the sausage and the slits are on the top. Place them on baking paper, cover them again and leave them to rise for another hour and a half until they double in size. If you want to eat them for breakfast, you can put them to rise in the fridge overnight, so there is no danger of overproofing, and you will be ready to bake when you wake up. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 360 Fahrenheit with convection or 200 degrees Celsius and 400 Fahrenheit standard oven. Whisk 1 egg and brush the dough several times with the egg. Bake for about 10-15 minutes, depending on your oven. Of course, you can wait for them to cool down, but I want to show you what they look like on the inside. Notice how fluffy they are. I will end the video by also showing you the version with cheese. I hope you like the recipe and enjoy!